Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Buzzing with Brilliance podcast, where extraordinary entrepreneurs are sharing their secrets to success. I am Mary Gooden. I am the CEO and founder of what I like to call My Brilliant Life. And I help heart-centered, purpose-driven entrepreneurs create more buzz, visibility, impact, and prosper on purpose in their life, in their business. Today, we are sharing the one and only brilliant Daniela Hartmann. Tell us, Daniela, and welcome to the show. Tell us where you're joining from, who you are, and how you support your clients.
Hi, Mary. Well, I'm in Munich, Germany, and I am German. And what I do is I started out with I called it coaching, but I have now more shifted into Buddhism-based philosophical practice because I have 20 years of Buddhist practice, meditation, philosophical studies, and learning Tibetan under my belt. I lived in India and Nepal to really deep dive into that philosophy. And now I'm supporting people into their journey, into themselves, about who they really are, what makes them tick with these tools that Buddhism has provided me with. So that's meditation, awareness, contemplation, personal inquiry, and so on.
Oh, I love that. I've got here too, that soul-driven message of yours. I love this. Our authenticity and connection to our inner guidance systems are our greatest strengths. And there's so much truth to the way that you lead with that. Danielle and I met through one of our book projects. And then she also has a book. It's called The Grid. Is that right?
Yeah, it's called The Grid. Exactly.
Yeah. So would you share a little bit about your hero's journey through entrepreneurship?
Well, it all came about that I was working for the UN 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago now, and I was kind of challenged in my integrity about, international politics is complex. People have different ideas, and sometimes you have to agree to things you don't actually in yourself agree with. I mean, even in everyday life, we have to do that, right? So I went into Buddhism to find my inner guidance system again. The funny thing is, in Tibetan, Buddhism is called Nangche, and a Buddhist is called Nangpa, and Nangpa means the one who looks inside. So this inner journey to look in ourselves for the answers, that was something that really interested me. And the way how the Buddha saw how we are actually all interconnected and that everything comes about through connection, that nothing can actually survive or be just by itself. And with this understanding that we're all connected, love, compassion, and empathy automatically come. Because if I know I'm connected to everything, that means that whatever I do somehow comes back to me, right? Mm-hmm. So that was what I kind of looked into. And then when COVID hit, I just saw a lot of people were looking for the same answers that I had looked for about 20 years earlier. Who am I? What do I want? When structures fell apart and they couldn't just look at things, that they had done for the last 15 years. Suddenly they were out of a job, or they had to rethink a lot of things or how they had built their lives. And so many people asked me, how do I do this meditation thing? Or why is love and compassion important? And how do I connect with others meaningfully? So I did that pro bono and for fun for a while, but then I thought, hey, actually people really need that sort of guidance. And I know it, I know it in my bones after 20 years. So yeah, this is how I started The Grid, which is G for growth, R for responsibility, I for integrity, and D for diversity. So I take people through these different points based on Buddhist philosophy for them to find out what is their inner grid. And so my fun little joke always is step out of the matrix and get into your own grid. So yeah, that's what I do. And yeah, I have clients one-on-one because that's what I like best at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you give them the individual attention It's like having pieces of the pie. Sometimes when you have more than one piece of the pie, the information that you're feeling or that you're pulling through you is filtered through other experiences. So I love that you support others one-to-one. And so true. A lot of entrepreneurial journeys start by happenstance or by, I really enjoy supporting others with their questions on how do I become? Who do I become? What's the easiest, or how can I become? Because it is one of our human nature question is, who am I really? And what did I come here to share with the world? So Daniela, with your expertise in really leading people on the inner journey, I would love for you to share your 3 tips with us, or 3 tricks of really building upon this success, your measure of success, and being a heart-centered. I know that you are a heart-centered entrepreneur, and you can share them one at a time. But 3 ways, fun and easy ways, that have made this entrepreneurial journey a success for you.
Well, I think I just want to kind of follow you a little bit. I think what's really important also for me, and I know it's the same for you, we may have an experience in our lives and we say, this is what I really want to express in the world for others as well, something that we already embody, that already is alive in us. So I think that is a very important point for my journey, and I think for being successful. So I call it, know what lights your fire. What actually are you passionate about? Not just, my mom told me I'm supposed to study law, and, you kind of slug your way through law school and you hate it until the day you retire. But it's like, wow, I love snails, for example. What can I do with the biology? Or I think this is something that in the world that we have now, where we get so much freer, social media has its negative sides, but it has its positive sides. Also, we can actually explore a lot more. So knowing what lights our fire and know who we are in that and stay true to it, because usually might have happened to you. It happened to me when I went to the monastery, for example. People think you're a little crazy. And people ask you, how you ever going to make money with that? And they give you these little side looks and like, when is she coming back to normalcy again? The answer is never. But when it lights your fire, the right people get attracted and the right opportunities open up. And suddenly you are the snail expert, or you do a philosophical practice based on Buddhism, or you suddenly have a publishing house. So that would be number 1 for me. Know what lights your fire.
I love the term of crazy. In fact, when I had just really got going in my first brick and mortar yoga studio, that's what I kept saying like this: I know that you think I'm crazy, but I am the clearest that I've ever been. It's clarity that I'm experiencing. But I love that you brought that up, because for those of you that might be starting out or knee deep in this or throat deep, and you might feel that expression of crazy, perhaps know that that's your fire and you're on the right track. What's number 2, Daniela? Thank you for sharing that one.
The second one is appreciate interdependence. There's something, especially in the Western world, where we think, I have to do it all by myself, and this individual journey of doing it all by myself. I think, first of all, it's wrong, because we are always having people around us who support us, even if it's just the person in the supermarket bringing our food, to the supermarket, or our teacher, or a book that we read. We are always in connection with others all the time. And to appreciate that, and to also know, how do I want to show up for others or in this society? I mean, as an entrepreneur, you need to have clients. So already that is interdependence, right?
Mhm.
So how do we show up for them? All of us, we had mentors, teachers, in a positive or negative way. How do we honor them? You know, how do we fit into this life? I think that is something really important. And this is why, for me, this point of authenticity, which goes into with what lights your fire, but who am I really? You know, what do I want? And within this Indra's net, within this huge web of interconnectedness, what is my role in it? And the moment we know that, then we can be unique and in connection with others. And connection is the most important thing in life, right?
Mhm.
If we're not connected, there's this one study, the Grant study. Have you ever heard of that? It started in Harvard, 1936 or whatever. And they looked at people over now, whatever, 80 years. And the most important factor for health is actually connection. Good relationship with friends, a good primary relationship. That was more important than, smoking, not smoking, alcohol, fitness. That is what makes you happy, is actually being in good connection. So for me, connection to ourselves is number one. If we know who we are, we can connect in a fun, grounded, warm-hearted way to others. And then we can also promote our business,
Mhm.
from our heart, from our inside out.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I always say with visibility, it starts on the inside, because if you can't see who you are, how will anybody else see who you are? That's powerful. And I love that study that you shared, connectedness. And we actually had a little experiment with that not too many years ago, of how important, and some of you might recognize how important and how much you may have missed being around other people. But it was a brilliant time for us to meet and connect through this platform, and actually have an outreach now all over the world because of it. So blessings upon blessings. All right, Daniela, that was number 2. So number 1, I just love to, before we get to number 3, I love to go back through just so everybody's got it and you can write it down. Number 1, know what lights you up. Get engaged with what it is that feels like your zone of genius. Like, this feels good. Just like Daniela did. She started her journey like, oh, I want to support these people. I want to coach them how to go in. And so it always starts that happenstance. And then number 2, in case you missed it, appreciate interdependence. Thriving in collaboration and connection. It's not a competition, is it, Daniela?
Not at all.
We each have an authentic piece. That's the truth. We each have a unique code, spark, piece of this massive puzzle, global, world, earthly, universe. We all have a magical little piece. And the sooner that we wrap our arms around that, the more expansion I think we feel, and the more joy we experience in the world, because we're in our vibe, man. We're in our frequency. We feel that peace on earth from that inner dependence. Love it. Okay, what's lucky number 3?
Lucky number 3 is to use empathy and compassion as superpowers. It kind of goes into interdependence, because if we look at what is empathy or what is compassion, it means to feel with the other. And it doesn't mean pity for me. It means like, wow, I'm human, you're human. 90% of the day or 95% of the day, what you and I do is exactly the same, right? And when we get up, we go to the bathroom, we cook, we whatever, brush our teeth. We love our loved ones. We want to be good, to just kind of connect on this humanity basis. And it's not weak. Sometimes I see like, oh, compassion is weakness. But you know, when I was in the monastery, I was 9 years in a monastery, 8.5 years in a monastery to really study Buddhist philosophy. And then I moved to Nepal. There I had my own apartment, but you know, you're always interconnected. Every family is a big family. You know, it's an extended family. Like my teacher's family, the youngest is 3 and the oldest is 64. So you always sort of together, and you kind of always open your heart to what does the other one need. You know, how do we work together as this living organism that we actually are. So empathy is a superpower and compassion is a superpower to make these connections viable. You know, to really feel, what do you need? And if I'm an entrepreneur, if I have something to offer, I need to understand what my client needs. You know, what do they want? What are they missing? What is it that lights their fire, if that's the journey I go on with them? So it's to really open my heart to them and show myself to them also, you know, so I create the safe space for them to be themselves. So yeah, so empathy and compassion as superpowers, that's a big point for me.
It's a big point, I think, for all of us. And like you said, this is not a pity project. This is about being empathetic. This is about understanding. This is about the more you know yourself, the easier it is to understand others. The easier it is if I can, this is what yoga taught me. And I know that the Buddhist, you know, different lineages of different practices teach you, but if I can be empathetic and compassionate with myself, it's automatic for me to treat others that way. Because I don't know any different. And I think that it's a beautiful piece it's a beautiful finale and a beautiful start to the inner journey. And the inner journey is about restoring our own empathy and compassion in some ways. So I love these tips, Daniela. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us your journey through entrepreneurship and the different practices that have really allowed you to step in and really shine your light in a way, to buzz with brilliance for others, because that's what we need to be. We need to be at a vibration that says, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to hold your hand. I'm here to remind you that you've got this. I'm here for you. And be serving from a buzzing, blazing cup. And I love that you're doing that in the world. And love to all of you out there, the listeners that are also doing this in the world by stepping into your zone of genius, by stepping into your light, your heart's desire, and being willing to hold it for the world and those who need it. It's amazing. So it's extraordinary is what I like to say, because it's all about being extraordinary. Daniela, how can the listeners get closer to you? How can they find you? How can they jump into your space?
Well, I've got a website. It's called TheGRIDGlobal. And I'm sure you're going to link it. And what I love to do is these free sessions. So these discovery sessions, to have a cup of coffee, you know, just sit down for an hour with people and see what's going on for them. That is something that I really like. There's somebody called Ram Dass. I don't know if you know Ram Dass, if you've ever heard of him, but he had this sentence, we're all just walking each other home. So this is what I kind of call my work. And, you know, when you talked about us stepping into our brilliance and our, you know, serving from this heart-centered place, what I really find is the more I do that, the more I learn from the others. And actually, sometimes I get, or not sometimes, most of the time, I get more back than I actually give in a way. Because everybody that I meet is another facet of the human journey. And I learn a little bit more about what is being human actually all about? So I love that. So if people want, just hang out with me for an hour. That would be great.
Oh, that's so fun. That's a great invitation. Yes, I will have all those links so they can go right to the website. What was it? It was TheGRID.global.
Yeah, TheGRIDGlobal, exactly.
And you can book that gift that Daniela is giving you, a gift of a connection call. And it's true. We all trade something. It's part of that connection. We all trade something, and we give and receive on every opportunity that we give ourselves to connect with someone one-to-one. We all gain something beautiful out of it. And so I encourage each and every one of you to go on to Daniela's site and grab a quick coffee chat and just see what kind of extraordinary activation that each of you can receive. Daniela, thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being here now. To all of those extraordinary humans, entrepreneurs that are listening out there, I thank you for listening. Go out and start buzzing with brilliance today. Until we meet again, I say bye for now, everyone.